Hey there, how you doing? Welcome back for another video lesson. This is a video lesson for Feed Me Pie and Divide and Conquer for Thursday, May 7th, 2020. Hope you guys had a good Wednesday. Learned a little bit about the Beatles. We're back at it. We have a very similar lesson today as we did on Tuesday. We're working to find equivalent expressions. Now, again, expressions are a number sentence without the equal sign and without the solution. Now, we are not solving these expressions. We are simply simplifying them and telling whether or not they are equivalent. Now, when you simplify them, you have constant terms and you have variable terms. Okay, so this 12x is an example of a variable term because there's a variable here, a letter that takes the place of a number. Okay, now you also in the same expression have numbers that are constant terms, like this 6 here. There is no variable attached to it, so therefore it would be a constant term. Now, really what we're trying to do is we are trying to follow the order of operations and different properties that we know to simplify these expressions so that we have something like this at the end, where we have a constant term and a variable term. They're separate, but we put all of the constant terms together and all of the variable terms together, and we have what's called a simplified expression. Okay, so that's really what we're trying to do here. Now, the question at hand is Carl and Philippa are trying to write an expression, and they're trying to find one that is equivalent to 6 minus 4 times 3 minus 6x plus 12. Which student wrote an equivalent expression? Now, an equivalent expression is just when they take this equation and they simplify it into simplest terms. It would kind of be like saying, I have the fraction of 6 ninths. Well, I can simplify that to make an equivalent fraction to 1/3. Okay, it's simplified, but it's also equivalent. That's what we're doing here with these expressions. So here's what Carl did here. Now, we're trying to find whether they are right or whether they're wrong. And I'll give you a hint. One of them is right and one of them is wrong. Can you take a minute to look at what they did and see which one you think is right and which one is wrong? Okay, let's check it out. So we'll start over here with Carl. Now, here's something that you need to remember when you are simplifying expressions, or really anytime that you're working with expressions or equations. When you see parentheses, you want to take care of the parentheses first. That's the first thing that you do, is to take care of these parentheses. So we're looking here, and right off the bat, it looks to me like Carl did 6 minus 4, and he got 2 here. So right off the bat, you can see that from the first line to the second line, the parentheses are still there. And that's usually a red flag, like, uh-oh, something did not go right here, okay? So right off the bat, I can look at this and say, Carl, I'm sorry, but this is not correct, okay? So Carl would be incorrect because he subtracted here. What he should have done is he should have taken this 4 and multiplied it by 3 and then multiplied the 4 times 6x. That is called the distributive property of multiplication. You take this 4 and you multiply it by everything in the parentheses. Okay? Cool. Now, over here, Philippa, let's check out what she did. She still has the same expression, 6 minus 4 times 3 minus 6x plus 12x. Okay? Now, if you look from the first line to the second line, let's see what she did. It looks to me like she multiplied 4 times 3, and then she multiplied 4 times 6. 4 times 3 is 12. Yay! 4 times 6 is 24, but since it's 6x, it would be 24x. Okay? Now, so far, so good. She's on the right path. Now, If you look at this second row here, she simplified it. She's taken the first step and has done the distributive property of multiplication. Now, if we look here, what can we do? All right, well, I have 6 and 12. Those would be my constant terms. And I have 24x and I have 12x. Those would be my variable terms. So what I want to do is I want to put my variable terms and my constant terms together. So I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 12 gives me -6. Okay, that is correct. 24 plus 12 gives me, excuse me, gives me 36x. So Felipe is correct. This equation here, this expression of 6 minus 4 times 3 minus 6x plus 12x simplified does equal -6 plus 36x. So therefore, these would be equivalent. So she is correct. Okay. Now, what you're going to do today is you're going to be getting two expressions, and the question is going to be, are these expressions equivalent? Now, what you're going to have to do is for each one of the expressions, you're going to have to simplify it just like we did together today. Now, when you simplify it down to this point, if they are equivalent, they should be the same, okay? So as you simplify them, you should be able to make a determination whether or not they are indeed equivalent, which means equal, or not. Work hard, ask questions, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.